Welcome to the Sold Too Early Sports Card Podcast, the candy corn of the sports card world. That's not Kai. My Halloween costume is Anthony Richardson prices. That's quite scary. We are in a fun spot. Kai is not here. He did not want to be part of this conversation. He's also had something to do. We have Dan Bacon Dog Cards. Dan, how are you doing, man?
Good. I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. So, a lot of fun things going on in the sports card world. Currently prepping for the Dallas Card Show. Going to be set up at my spot as usual on the front wall. Dude, Dallas is going to be so much fun. Unfortunately, go for it.
I haven't been yet. No, I was saying, how is it? Is it usually pretty good?
So Dallas is probably the third best show in the entire country.
Really?
So let me break it down for you real quick and anyone who has not heard me do this spiel before. Number one is the National. I mean, listen, you know what? No matter what happens, National's number one. It's 5 days. People travel out of the country to come there. It's, something that's been going on for 46 years, 47 years now at this point in time.
Yeah.
Such a good experience. Cleveland was interesting. It's going to be in Chicago next 3 years. They're doing a lot of things to improve that show overall, and I look forward to seeing what they do in 2025. Number two is Burbank. Have you ever been to Burbank Card Show?
No, I have not yet. No, I haven't traveled yet. I'm going to start traveling more for the shows as time goes on. I have not made my way to Burbank yet.
Well, hopefully you can do it not off the back of a QB investment, but off, other things you're able to do. Burbank is twice a year, generally February and August. A lot of fun. That show is something that a lot of West Coast people will travel to, obviously. East Coast as well, being in New Jersey, I've traveled there.
Yeah.
Every time it's happened, it's very good. I love that show. Dallas is number three. So Dallas happens 6 times a year, I believe, maybe 5, maybe 7. The point is, it happens the most of any show.
Okay.
The thing about the Dallas Card Show, and this is not to be critical, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
They've chosen the route of, hey, we want to have as many shows as possible. We're going to set our calendar. And to me, it is a show that I base my sports card traveling calendar on. If I know that I'm going to Dallas 6 times a year, cool. I can be a little more selective on what I want to do. I know that I'm going to be set up at the show. I have my table and my name. I know I have a good spot. I know that I can do a lot of things as a result. Buy inventory accordingly, travel there, everything like that.
Yeah.
For me, Dallas is always a B+, A- type show. I expect, though, this time to be a little bit different. So, because Fanatics Fest, their second iteration of that show was supposed to happen.
Yes.
It was canceled in Orlando. So, a lot of people who had chosen to go to Orlando over Dallas, myself included, I was someone who was telling people to go to Orlando over this because Dallas happens so many times a year.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to have a little bit of FOMO, a little bit of not aggressive nature towards it, but understand hey, shit, this is the last real major show of the year. I want to go in and I want to go clean out, get cashed out, whatever else. Mm-hmm. I think Dallas this time coming up going to be really good. So I'm excited to be set up again in my location as always on the front wall. Right when you walk in, go to the right. You'll see.
That's the best spot. You can't go wrong with that. Right when you probably feel it.
I paid a good amount of money for just the naming rights of that spot. Very happy I've done it. Awesome. Expanding my spot to 3 tables in 2025, which I will be sourcing out to some friends. Super exciting. Very happy it's done. Dallas is such a phenomenal time, and I would love to put it on the same tier as Fanatics Fest. Fanatics Fest kind of gets a incomplete ranking right now in terms of card shows because
I was gonna try and make it there. I didn't end up making it. It was pretty big, I heard.
Fanatics Fest was a lot of fun, dude. The issue with it now is New York was phenomenal. That's their main hub.
Yeah.
Because Fanatics Fest Orlando was suspended, canceled. No, canceled's not the right word. Suspended is the right word.
Yeah,
sometime in 2025, it's hard to say what's going to happen. So they get it incomplete. If they knock it out of the park in January, if they knock it out of the park in January, February, it deserves to be in that top 3 or top 4 ranking. But right now, it's just really hard to say. But yeah, listen, you know what? So we were having a very interesting conversation earlier on Instagram that I think is the crux of today's episode of the podcast, Dan.
Yes, 100%.
So one thing that I have been really beating the ground on, especially over the last couple of weeks, and you can extend this into the summer, is the idea and the concept that for football cards, especially quarterbacks, the goal is to sell one step early as opposed to 2 steps too late.
Always.
If you own a valuable QB asset and they run on the field week 1, you're fucked. And it just seems to continuously be the same trend going on over and over and over again.
With quarterbacks, I feel it's almost more a quick nickel is great rather than a slow dime. You can't sit on these quarterbacks for very long at all because you're going to get benching. They take time to develop. Look at Sam Darnold now out of nowhere. It's where he was 2018, 6 years later, he's in his prime. So you got to, I mean, if you got to get rid of these cards. I'm getting rid of most of the liquid quarterback stuff. I try to get rid of it. Get in and get out.
Yeah. Listen, it's so funny to me how this seems to be going. So even Sam Darnold cards, they're up. He deserves to be so. You know what? The last couple of weeks, though, he's done fine. Yeah. But the Vikings are 5-2 now. They started off 5-0, I believe.
They started off hot.
So, hey, you know what? If you own those Darnold cards going into the season, hey, you know what? Maybe you weren't able to move them. Yeah, maybe you weren't able to move them because, like, oh, I don't believe in Sam Darnold. Who gives a fuck? He's a 1-year stopgap for the Vikings. Starts playing well. Oh, shit. Maybe that's time I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong in that instance. But guess what? Is the idea of this conversation to be, hey, I want to be right 100% of the time, or do I want to be right most of the time? Everything I say, Instagram, sports cards in general, you can put a, usually in parentheses. Underneath it. Usually this works. Do you want it to be 100% effective? Good fucking luck. You can't be.
Never.
Usually this is the best idea. Generally. Most times, oftentimes, not every time. I'm not fucking Nostradamus, and if I was, I would not be playing with sports cards. I'd be winning the Powerball lottery every other day.
Yeah, I wish.
But the point still is, we have seen, truthfully, the last 24 months of QB quote-unquote investments blowing up in the most negative way.
It makes me laugh. Like, we could go on about the prospects, and it seems like almost every young quarterback who's drafted is having a big sale, and they don't deserve to have these big numbers.
There's a lot to expand on beyond that. So obviously players who are college athletes are going to get drafted. They're going to sign with their team, whatever else. And people who are fans of them, either from their college days or now the NFL team, going to buy their cards. 100% going to happen. No one is surprised by that. I know the XRCs of Caleb and Jane Daniels and everyone like that is now out. Those are selling, and they're bringing in your money. I completely get it. I'm not telling you to shit on it. Like, no, don't buy these ever. If you're a fan and you want to lock it in early, I guess, go for it. But that's the key word. If you're a fan, if you want to own these for your actual collection, I get it. From a flipping perspective,
you got to wait and settle.
You might get caught holding the bag. And that seems to be a common trend across most players and most quarterbacks, it seems like these days. Listen, as of recording right now, Anthony Richardson just got benched. Bryce Young had been benched this year. Only reason why he played on Sunday was because Andy Dalton was in a car accident, and he had, 200 yards and 2 touchdowns and 2 picks of even. He didn't look very good. He
didn't look promising. I mean, he looked like, I'd probably say, your general quarterback in the NFL. You go in, you get the job done, you play a game. But
they also lost. So,
there's no wins in the category.
Nope. Bryce Young, 27 for 34, 224, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. One of those touchdowns coming in the fourth quarter when they're down 28-7. It is what it is. Bo Nix looked good, 20 for 37, 284, 3 touchdowns. I think he also had a rushing touchdown. He did.
Yeah, Bo Nix had he had a rushing touchdown too. He looked good on Sunday.
But guess what? Bryce Young, second year in, benched. Anthony Richardson, second year in, benched. It's it's so interesting to me. I don't think people truly get it, unfortunately. There is nothing wrong with buying QBs. There's nothing wrong with flipping QBs.
That's what I'd say.
What I'm always trying to advise you in general is to think about this from a game perspective. The game is called not getting fucked. And it's very simple. You take the QB asset when it's at its low. Hell, it might even be worth buying someone like an Anthony Richardson right now or a Bryce Young. Only on the idea. This is only on the idea. This is not based on their play. But you can find a larger fool in the spring or summer. That is the only time to buy these type of assets.
That's the easiest way to put it. Find another fool.
The greater fool theory is a thing. That is a very common thing.
In cards, you've realized it over the last 2 years, 100%. The greater fool theory.
Yeah. It is. I am not telling you to buy them, but this is the only time to do it in the fact that you don't give a fuck what they do the rest of the season. They could be benched. They could suck. You buy it. You sell it to another stupid asshole in the spring or summer. You make your money. Someone else holds the bag. And that has continued to be a trend in our industry. The example that I'm going to use now is Kenny Pickett.
Oh, yes.
It is quite bad. Let me get my screen share up real quick. So Kenny Pickett is an extreme example. Because guess what? He is now in his fourth year.
I think third, yeah.
So Kenny Pickett is now QB3 on the Eagles. He got traded. Probably not going to start another NFL game in his career. If he does, it's going to be due to something very stupid.
Seems like a career backup.
Maybe a career backup. There's a very real possibility if he has a bad attitude and he can't adapt, he could be out of the league. It happens to people.
It happens all the time.
So Kenny Pickett right here, NCRPA, Stars and Stripes, jersey number 8 of 25, September 28th, 2023. 13 months ago to the day of recording. This is October 29th, 2024. So 13 months ago.
Yeah.
So you want to see what the 101 did?
Yeah, what did the 101 do?
I'll show you.
I'm very curious to that.
If I can find it super quick. Because I pulled it up on my phone, but it just sold recently. Well, there's May 9th. There's May 19th, the NFL Shield doing $8,100. This is not nearly as bad. Well, let me pull up the story on my computer. So it did 1520.
Wow.
I know. That was impressive. And the crazy thing about it is Gareth, Central Valley, sold the same car for $30,000 once upon a time.
Really? What, do you know when he sold that? Was that like during the season last year?
I can ask him, and if he gives me a response before this episode goes up, I will post it.
Yeah.
Clear as day right here. 1 of 1, NCRPA, Kenny Pickett, PSA 9, 1520, October 17th. 2 weeks ago. Very extreme example of what can happen.
Exactly.
Anthony Richardson. Let's just jump into it.
I saw the green Kaboom 1 of 1 did like 36, I think.
Yep. No, I misspelled Richardson. That's cool. I'm just dumb. Let me fix that. 36 grand.
Oh, yeah, 36 and change. Wow.
13 months ago.
At the that was yeah.
So
that was September 2nd this year, not 13 months ago. That was September.
Oh shit. That's a month and a half ago. My bad.
This was right before the season started. This is preseason hype. This is what gets into everybody with the quarterbacks. The preseason hype. They're excited with the wide receivers. They're excited about the football season. He's coming back. He was what? He was the 3rd overall. What was he in the? He was in the draft. He was top
3rd.
Third, yeah, he was 3rd overall. They're excited about the young guy, and they're going to spend the big bucks for, also, we can go on and on about kabooms and case hits, how the market's been controlled by case hits also in a certain aspect, when you're looking at those categories. But 36 grand is a lot of money for Anthony Richardson, I'd say.
That is impressive to lose the amount of money that person did in such a short time. I didn't. Thank you for catching me on that, Dan. That I misread.
Yeah, no, it's September 2nd.
So he was the 4th pick. Will Anderson was 3rd. in that draft class.
1, 2, and 3 back to back.
But it's very interesting to me. Bryce Young already kind of looking like a bust. Anthony Richardson really
not looking good. Taking a play off when he's healthy because he was tired. That really throws. I don't know if that's his confidence or what it is, but that kind of threw the cat in the bag for that threw it out there for me.
Will Levis injured / benched right now for Mason Rudolph. LOL.
Yeah.
Who else was in this draft class?
The Ian Book. Some of these later guys.
He never really play.
Yeah, some of these. I think that might have been it for major quarterbacks. Who was everybody buying this last year? It was CJ.
Hendon Hooker has not played.
Hendon.
Stetson Bennett doesn't really count. Aiden O'Connell. Hilariously, a 4th round pick on Aiden O'Connell does not seem that bad. Clayton Tune is the backup. DTR hurt. Clifford, I think, is barely in the league. Jaron Hall, barely in the league. Tanner McGee, barely in the league. I think Max Duggan is actually out of the NFL.
Max Duggan, I do believe, is he? Free agent.
He's a free agent. So it's just so funny to me. Like, influencers are not really good at what they do. It is not that hard to go out there and tell you to go buy a QB or an investment. Dan, I don't know. You have ever listened to this podcast before or no?
No, not actually. No, I kind of saw your story and I just threw that out there. Not
even a problem at all. Let me explain to you the most hilarious thing then. So, a little over a year ago, in the summer of 23, I was buying a lot of Japanese baseball because it was cheap on StockX. It was a lot of fun, and there was so many decent and good a lot of decent and good players that were in the MPB product, and you could buy 4 hobby boxes on StockX after fees and shipping for $160. $40 a box for hobby boxes.
Really?
They didn't have autographs really. There were, I think, 16 total autographs in the entire product, but there were players in there who had value. You may have heard of one of them. Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yeah, Yamamoto is in there.
Roki Sasaki, who's going to come over in a year or two, was in that product. Murakami, who's a power hitter, probably going to come over this year from Japan, was in that product. It was also the first Bowman product ever for the MPB, second most popular baseball league. $40 a box. I opened 200 plus boxes. Man. I talked about it on this podcast. I sold so much Yoshinobu Yamamoto when he signed over from the MPB to the Dodgers.
I wouldn't doubt it, yeah.
I caused the price of that to stay spiked forever. And now I'm going to show you it.
Because I think I remember when I went to go buy them, my buddy was telling me I work in my local card shop actually, so I saw a lot of people coming in asking for the MPB, and we weren't able to get our hands on it at the time because by the time I had looked them up, they were over the 40 rank because there was one guy who came in and said he had picked a couple up and he was looking. I forgot who he was looking for exactly, but what are they doing now? You would know better than me. They're doing.
Last sale was 185, which is funny. Highest bid is 211. So it's over the bid. The data. Oh my God. You can't even go back to seeing when I did it, but let's see if I can pull up the graph. So year ago, we were still opening it. No big deal. No big deal. No big deal. It spiked.
That was right when he signed, right? Or no?
It was right when he signed, but we had caused a conversation about it to get to the point where it was already from 150, which I was buying it at, to the floor being 260, 270, whatever else. And it's basically stayed that exact same generally ever since.
Wow.
Me, the stupid asshole in New Jersey, caused a product in Japan to jump about, what is that, 30, 40%?
About almost 50%.
From talking about it on a podcast, from having conversations. I'm a better influencer than people who have
all these other guys.
Than people who have made it their actual life mission to fuck you over. I talked about it because I thought it was a fun, cheap product to rip, and I ripped hundreds of boxes. I could pull up the receipts if I needed to.
It comes up to getting what you like. That's what it really comes down to.
And it was profitable and it was fun. The Yamamoto base Chrome cards, I sent them all to SGC. I sent all the paper to SGC. When he signed with the Dodgers, they were selling for $90 each.
I remember seeing that.
Remember, that is paper, and that is SGC. These boxes were $40 each.
You're hitting big on them then. Yeah, you're making good percentages there.
I'm better at this than them, which is hilarious. So why would I go out of my way to tell you what's going to happen if I wanted your money?
Oh, you wouldn't.
I truly, more than anything else in the world, want a more intelligent industry and hobby. This is no longer, unfortunately, something built for people who truly want to collect.
It's not at all.
It's truly a shame. It's really unfortunate.
It's gambling.
It is gambling.
It's gambling. It really is.
When you're playing with the numbers that we are there. Once again, let me pull this back up so you can understand this. $36,000 in a month and a half. This card is probably worth half that.
I would say maybe over 10 grand, maybe just over 10 grand right now.
It is impressive to lose that kind of money so quickly, and you did nothing wrong. You bought a player that you liked, and you thought you could make money on it. Maybe they quick flipped it. You never know. You know what? Week 1, he threw a sick pass and nothing else.
Yeah, it could have been a private sale.
Yeah, listen, you never know. And you know what? I hope the person did make money. Whoever got caught holding the bag, you're fucked.
You're shit out of luck. You're SOL.
Yeah. Like, dude, I got shit from someone about posting Bryce Young because apparently the person who owns the Bryce Young Prism Black one was a nice guy. Guess what? $50,000.
Unfortunate. $50,000. Oh, Jesus.
$50,000 for the raw version of the card at the time. I have no idea if it's graded. I don't really care if it is. It's whatever. What do you think the card's worth now?
I'm going maybe 10. Maybe.
No, I think it's more than 10. I don't know how much more. Maybe it's 25. Maybe it's 30. Guess what? It's not.
It's 50. Not 50.
So, like,
examples during COVID times. You go on to Mac Jones with the 13-year-old who sold it for $100,000. You got to get out of those. Like I said in the beginning, he pulled that. He got $100,000 cash for the Mac Jones. I don't know what the secondary sale on it was, because I know it sold after that.
So, from what I've heard, the story is, and for anyone who's not aware of this, quick summary: child pulls a 12-year-old kid pulls the Mac Jones Black 101 on screen right here, gets a $100,000 cash offer, accepts it. Amazing, good for the kid. The guy who bought it actually did quick flip it. I think he got either 105 or 110.
I think it got graded at 10, I do believe. I'm not 100% sure. I think it ended up getting a 10, or maybe mistake me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I remember seeing a story where it was graded at 10 too.
Either way, sure. On a 101, it doesn't necessarily matter. It doesn't hurt, obviously. But guess what? The kid made a ton of money, obviously, because he pulled the card himself for $100,000. The person who spent $100,000, you know what? He made money too. He got 105 or 110, maybe 115. The point is, the person made money. He quick flipped it. Awesome. Happy for him. He deserves it.
Quick nickel.
Someone is caught holding the bag. Now, whether you believe card ladder's value here or not, they are valuing this item 2 years later, 18 months later, wherever the timing is, $5,800. That's definitely not true. I don't know what this card would go for in open auction now, but
it is more of an auction item. Obviously, I don't know what it would go for. I don't know how many Mac Jones believers there are.
You know what? I really truly cannot say what that would do now in the open market. And that's scary. You know what? Hey, is
there anything comparable?
No. Gold did $7,000 to. Oh wait, what? Oh, this is a different parallel.
Yeah.
But it's scary. Like, look, a year. What is that? A year later, June 8th, 2022, to January 5th. So 6 months, give or take. This is select. It's a black 101 to $3,000. Like, I don't know. The guy probably paid $100,000, but it doesn't matter. He made money.
He got out of it. Yeah.
Like, that's the name of this game. It's just like, I don't know who truly collects anymore, and that's scary to me.
There's too many. There's a lot of flippers.
Yeah, listen, and you know, I'm sure there's people that exist out there on social media who just truly collect and don't care or give a fuck, and they're just happy with what they own. I kind of wish I could be that way sometimes. Flipping cards is fun. I have a lot of joy in it. I really love that I'm able to do it as a hobby. This is not my job. It could be my job, but I've pissed off enough people. I've made enough people mad at me about how I post and do things that, guess what? It wouldn't matter anyway. If I had money to spend on cards, you'd sell to me anyway, which is a whole different conversation. But it's just so funny, dude. Like in the worst possible way. And the crazy thing about this too is this is not even the crux of the conversation we were having. And I've gone on record saying this a few times. I truly believe that 90+% of the football cards out there for QBs are going to be very cheap, if not worthless one day, not because the players are not going to be good.
Because the focus shifts to the current day and then who's playing. Like you went over on your Instagram story with the Drew Brees. You know? How is what was the max on that? I think you said it was doing like $9,000. It was on Card Ladder or something like that.
I'll pull it up real quick. So
Drew Brees Contenders rookie auto it was.
Yep. So for anyone who is not aware of what we're talking about, so earlier today on Instagram, I made a post talking about Drew Brees is Contender rookie auto PSA 9, which is a great rookie card of him. I don't believe Drew Brees has true RPAs of any form. If he does,
I don't think they had NT. He was 2005.
No, there were no NTs for him. He was 01. It was way before NT.
Way before.
I don't think there were any true RPAs in general for him. That could be wrong. It's really hard to know of things that were happening 23 years ago, which is crazy to say out loud, but it did happen. So what I'm pulling up quickly is just a recent sale of a Drew Brees Contenders PSA 9 at 37. And this is obviously a pretty normal trend. You see 30, you see 39, you see 35, 38.50. This is a PSA 9 auto.
The 4 range.
Yeah, so about $4,000. So I was like, oh, cool. That's interesting. That seems pretty cheap. What were they going for at its peak? I'm just curious. And we can see it was $9,600.
That's during the 2021 era, during that hype.
2018 as well, before COVID. $9,300. Drew Brees was still playing in 2018.
Yeah.
Like, it's so interesting to me. Drew Brees has done nothing wrong. Drew Brees had a
quarterback.
Drew Brees is a future Hall of Famer who
has won Super Bowls, one of the top 3 all time in passing yards. I think he's up there.
He's definitely up there. And the thing is too, if like you're gonna go off stats, Drew Brees will have better stats than
90.
If not every quarterback in this era who's, a young QB that people are investing in, than most of them. Like Mahomes will probably have more, X, Y, and Z, or this person will do that. But like Brees transcended enough of the era that you could see
he was dominant.
Yeah, he was cooked in 2020, but guess what? 24 touchdowns, 6 picks, 3,000 yards in 12 games. Like, Brees put up phenomenal stats for a very, very long time.
Very consistently, very long.
Yeah, he wasn't a compiler. The dude always was consistently good from basically 2008 to 2019. It's pretty goddamn good career.
A long time in the league.
I think did he win MVP?
He did win MVP one time, did he?
13-time Pro Bowl, 1 All-Pro, 1 Super Bowl champ. He won Super Bowl MVP, not win an MVP. So that is the only, I guess, knock you could say on Brees' career. But guess what? His rookie card is still down a good amount anyway.
It's down 5%. Yeah, that's down almost 3 times. It's a third of the price it was, almost half the price.
What are you going to do when Joe Burrow is on a second or third team? When Justin Herbert is backing up someone? When Tua is concussed again and has to retire?
Out of the league, he has to retire.
Like, unfortunately, someone of Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Tua, T-Law, CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, one of those players, if not multiple of those players,
going to be in a couple years,
are not going to meet the expectations that sports cards have dictated on them. They can't all be future Hall of Famers and greats.
It's not.
Yes, there's another good example I like to use.
Oh, yes.
I love Phil Rivers. Phil Rivers was very good.
Was a very good quarterback.
Phil Rivers probably does not make the Hall of Fame.
No Super Bowl, no MVP, unfortunately. He was very good for the Chargers for a very long time, but I don't think, unfortunately, I think he's legend status. I think he's Hall of very good. I couldn't say Phil Rivers may be Hall of Fame myself.
Phil Rivers is obviously a step down from Drew Brees. There's an obvious reason why. What is a Hall of Famer, what is not. But Brees and Rivers still played in generally the same era, who, while they didn't benefit from all the rules that all the NFL QBs are now, it's not as pass happy, the additional game as well. Phil Rivers put up very impressive numbers for a very, very long time in his career.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call Phil Rivers a top 10 QB of all time, but Phil Rivers was exceptional for a very long period. You could have won a Super Bowl with Phil Rivers.
With the right players around Philip Rivers, 100%.
And we're checking this live. I don't know what Phil Rivers rookie autos even go for.
I haven't ever checked, unfortunately.
Hey, guess what? It's not going to be very expensive because here's a raw Ultimate Collection auto to 275 rookie auto.
And that's on-card. That's got to be one of the better ones. That's an on-card.
So
that's cheap for Rivers.
Let's see. Let's see if there's more. All right, let's see if I can do it like this.
Let's see what comes up.
292. All right. PSA 10 for $400. That auto is okay. Not the best auto. 9510 158. That auto is also faded, not a fair comp. PSA BGS 9 has the auto. Auto's pretty good there. $100. 9510 with a beautiful auto. I would call that a 10 auto sell. 480. What the fuck do you think is going to happen to these players? They're not all going to be Hall of Famers. And even if they are, they're going to fall off in price at some point in time.
Everything comes down to reality eventually. Everything comes down and settles eventually.
The most expensive sale of this card ever in general is $1,200.
In 2021. It was a 10-10.
Yep. That's a 10-10 to 275. Or no, this is to 150.
150.
Like, what do you reasonably think is going to happen?
In 20, this is when he's with the Colts, or is it after he retired? 21. I believe he's the Colts.
This was when he retired.
Oh, that's right after he retired. Okay, so 21 was right after he retired.
Like, unfortunately, I like Joe Burrow a lot,
but let's see his all time.
$1.7 million
in NFL fields.
But 534. 336, 289, 230, 210, 205, 204, 181. What the fuck do you think is going to happen?
Nowhere near those six-figure prices, in my opinion, unfortunately, unless they go on to become a Brady-type player where they're winning multiple Super Bowls. They go on to win as many as Brady. It's just not ever going to happen. It's unrealistic, unfortunately.
And even if they did, it would still fall off at some point in time because he wouldn't be in the league anymore. There's going to be a day when Joe Burrow
falls off.
Yeah, when he falls off. A lot of players went to second teams. Oh, guess who we just talked about? Phil Rivers went to a second team. Tom Brady went to a second team. Aaron Rodgers on a second team.
Matthew Stafford, second team.
Matthew Stafford, second team. Peyton Manning, second team. Joe Montana went to two teams. Steve Young was on two teams technically because he was on the Buccaneers first. It does happen. Like, there's one of the players who people are really, really investing in, Herbert, Burrow, Allen. Probably not Mahomes. If Mahomes goes to a second team, there's a different conversation.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of big Mahomes sales recently, I don't think. A lot of people are holding his stuff. I don't think there's been a lot of big, recent comps on some of Mahomes stuff.
But, like, once Tua, AR's definitely going to go to a second team. Bryce Young going to have to go to a second team.
Multiple teams.
Like, these players are not going to be on their teams most likely for their entire career. So it's going to change in general. And then there's going to be a day when they are a backup QB or a third string or out of the league. They're the stopgap to some random 9-year-old right now who's going to be in the league one day. Like, it's going to happen because it happens
every year.
Like, Burrow, phenomenal player. But
himself, yes, but I mean he's playing very well recently, in his young years. But
no, there's nothing. I'm not shitting on Joe Burrow. I think he's a great quarterback.
Yeah, agreed.
But they can't all win MVP. They can't all win the Super Bowl.
Oh, it's not possible.
What's going to happen? Like, and I like these players a lot.
People are going to dump them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's going to get caught holding the bag. Josh Allen. Josh Allen's already in his, 7th year? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good. He's pretty exceptional player. Don't get me wrong.
We need Super Bowls to be Hall of Fame. You need to be iconic for cards to work out in decades time, like we were talking about on Instagram. And you got to be iconic. You have to be dominant. Like we were talking about Breeze. I think his prices are cheap, but you have to be dominant. You have to be iconic. You have to have in football. You have to have the Super Bowls. You got to have the playoff wins. MVPs obviously play a big part in it. Tom Brady contenders rookie auto. Let's see what they're. And this is recently, and
that's honors. So this is a authentic auto 9. I would probably call this one of the cheaper versions of the contenders rookie auto you can get.
Yeah.
So let's see, same grade.
Well, that's auto 9 grade, and it's authentic. It's just authentic. Yeah. Okay.
That's a 10 auto at 50, 36. Okay, let me actually get a number grader. Let me go get Beckett. Because that is not going to be super helpful, actually. So we have here. Okay, we'll do BGS 9. That's fine. 29 grand, October 17th. So this is very recent.
Pretty recent.
Let's see. Same grade, all time price. $136,000.
And this is Brady.
120, 111, 109, 108, 108. 104, 103, 95, 92, 91, 85, 84, 81, 81. Do you get the fucking point yet?
You get caught holding the bag even with the best players sometimes.
It's Brady. Listen,
it always happens.
Since July. And then Beckett's always different because of subgrades. Thank you. So take this more with a grain of salt than the average conversation because I prefer PSA for the talk, but general conversation. 40 grand, July 26th. It has 2 9.5 grades, 9.5 centering and 9.5 surface. The 29 grand one has 9.5 centering and 9.5 surface. Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
They're right about the same almost.
Yeah, this one they're the exact same.
8, 5, and 9. Yeah, they're about the same exact ones.
Holy fuck, you're down 33% in
how long is that? 3 months?
Yeah.
Wow. Even
get fucked, I guess. What are you supposed to do there?
It's with some of these cards, it could also come down in the long term. How many people are going to hold them and never sell them? And it's going to be supply and demand in the long term. They could go up. They could stay at this 30 grand mark. I guess it's all going to be who's willing to pay that price, who's going to be the bigger fool, like we said earlier.
Listen, you know what? And they've definitely fluctuated. That 40 grand could have even been the high point for the last couple of years because I'm not seeing another one in that 40K range as I scroll through.
As we're going to 23 and
May 26, 2023 was the last time I reached 40 grand.
Wow.
And then it was a 50 before then. Jesus.
And that's probably when he was playing, I'm assuming.
When
was the 50?
February 8th, 2023. I think he was retired.
Yeah, he was retired then. That was
so
going 40 to 29. That's like you said, 33% in about 3 months.
What do you think is gonna happen?
And Tom Brady is, the GOAT, arguably, as everybody would say.
Brady is the GOAT. Let's be real.
I would say Brady's the GOAT myself too.
So the greatest football player, and the only other conversation I guess could be Jerry Rice or LT. The greatest quarterback ever. Holds a ton of NFL records, multiple MVPs, multiple Super Bowls. Did everything right. 23 years. Probably could still play at a high level in the NFL right now if he wanted to. His card went down.
One of his better cards.
It went down 10 grand in 3 months. You didn't do anything wrong, person.
A lot of money. It's 5 figures.
It's down 33% in 3 months. What the fuck? So if the GOAT can go down 5 figures,
what is everybody else going to go down?
Yeah.
I mean, exponential. I mean, they're going to go down more than 33%, I'd say.
The worst example is Tua, and I don't feel right looking at Tua comps, but it happens.
One more concussion, and I think he's done. Unfortunately,
I think a lot of people understand that Tua is what every NFL player is one hit away or one play away from
never playing again. It's unfortunate, but it's the game. It's a violent.
Tua is literally there. Tua is probably one more.
He's drafted 2020. He's at 5 or 6, I think, or
I think he's at 4 or 5. It's actually legitimately scary.
And that's just the NFL.
It's legitimately scary. Like
concussions change it for your life, but certain hits too.
You're an NFL. How old are you, Dan?
I'm 19.
Okay. Oh wow, even better. That's hilarious. I'm 28. So, do you remember Andrew Luck playing?
That was the first year I got into cards. I remember the prices of RG3 and Andrew Luck trying to get them as a kid. Oh my god!
So
2012, right? As 2012.
Yeah. So when Andrew Luck retired, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember that entire situation or not?
That was about 2017, 2018, probably.
Something like that. Andrew Luck was a phenomenal football player.
He was a great quarterback. He was on, if he kept playing at that level, I think he could have had an even better career. But these hits change these guys.
Andrew Luck retired in 2018.
Yes,
Andrew Luck would have been a sports card influencer's wet dream.
With 4,000 yards, yeah, he's putting up over 4,000 yards every season. Besides the one season he was hurt.
Phenomenal player. If he had wanted to continue his career, he would have done exceptionally well.
A lot of money,
all that great stuff. Andrew Luck retired in the middle of a preseason game. Could you imagine if next preseason comes around, Joe Burrow walks out and says, "You know what, guys? I'm done. I'm tired. I don't want to play anymore."
The hobby would go nuts. The hobby would go nuts.
People are lucky that Andrew Luck was not drafted in 2018 and then retired this preseason. People would have lost actual houses.
Yeah, I remember. What were the sales in 2012? I don't know. Does Card Ladder go back that far? I'm not sure. But
it should.
Andrew Luck prices. I remember as a kid looking at. Chrome was a little bit more dominant than Prism at the time. I'd say probably back then, because Panini that was first year Prism. But yeah, there's a super fracture, and that was in 2015. So that's probably 18,000. Wow.
I know.
I think I saw it for sale on Instagram at one point over the last few months, if I'm not mistaken. I definitely saw an Andrew Luck superfractor somewhere.
Why is Kobe Bryant and Andrew Luck in the same card?
He's out of the game card, Andrew Luck.
I don't know what's happening there. People would have lost their asses.
This is 2014, yeah. And back then, imagine what those prices would have been now, just because this is 2014. This is 10 years ago. Imagine what 10,000's worth now on cards.
Andrew Luck is the Joe Burrow type of a decade ago. I don't even think that's a really unfair comparison to make, because
it's not.
Through 5 years,
Burrow, they put him about the same stats. They're looking about. I'd probably say about in stats wise.
Luck was 6'4", 240. Joe Burrow is 6'4", 215. First overall picks. Burrow's one-time Pro Bowler. Andrew Luck, 4-time Pro Bowler, won a comeback player of the year as well. It's a very fair comparison to say.
Tell, yeah.
Just looking at the raw stats, Burrow has less touchdowns. He's played less games, obviously, but 60 less touchdowns, and Burrow threw a lot less picks, so it's not completely fair. But you know what I'm trying to say? Calling Andrew Luck the Joe Burrow of the last generation is not the craziest stretch.
I was never holding Andrew Luck, though. I never got caught holding him. I was always with every quarterback. I really try to be a quick nickel rather than a slow dime. You got to pick them up during the off season, or you got to pick them up when, like we talked about a little bit earlier, at their lowest point. Like we're saying, if you want to, you can pick up the ARs at the lowest point and see what happens. But who else could we? Blake Bortles. I mean, there was a couple people. This is 2014 going back. I mean, a lot of people. I know a lot of people that were holding Blake Bortles back then. 2014, 2015. I mean, his sales weren't as high as any of these other quarterbacks. But
dude, let's go back. Let's go back a further generation.
Yeah,
Donovan McNabb was pretty fucking good.
I was a little bit young for McNabb. I remember him playing for the Redskins. I was a little bit young for McNabb, but McNabb had very good stats. I've definitely looked at his stats before. And McNabb he's people like him. He's a well-liked player.
So McNabb, I mean, I'm 28, so 1999 I was 3, but I remember McNabb as a Giants fan.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty decent, pretty good player. McNabb, hang on, was a 6-time Pro Bowler. It's pretty impressive.
Yes,
No one's ever putting him in a Hall of Fame conversation. No one's ever doing that. McNabb was pretty good for a long time. I think he was second in MVP voting for a year.
He did have one season where he went off. He did really good.
Okay. His second year, and I'm going to pull this back up again, he actually did finish runner-up in MVP, so it was not crazy. 1 second. Yeah, McNabb was second in MVP his second year.
Yeah.
Sports card people.
20,
if McNabb was 2019 draft class.
Yeah, if he was an MVP runner-up nowadays, I wonder what the prices would have been on his stuff.
Now, it's not fair to compare the raw passing stats to now.
Nowadays, the game has changed a ton.
Yeah, I mean, 25 touchdowns, 10 picks, 3,500 passing yards. Pretty impressive numbers.
Impressive.
Like his runner-up year, I mean, we're not counting rushing, but rushing 6 touchdowns, 600 yards. McNabb could run, obviously, but
he had some legs on him, he did.
Yeah, but second in MVP voting, I think this was the year, Marshall Faulk won it, just went nuclear.
Oh, yes.
But once again, no one gives a fuck about Donovan McNabb.
No, not anymore at all. When is his name brought up? I mean, maybe amongst the Philadelphia collectors and other people. But nowadays when it comes to quarterbacks and playing, his name is never brought up. He's forgotten, unfortunately, in the card world, I should say.
I've owned Tony Romo contenders rookie autographs. They're under $1,000 for a 9.5/10. Romo was pretty good.
Romo was pretty good. I hate the Cowboys, but I got to give him credit. Romo was a great quarterback for a decent time. He was undrafted too, right?
He was. So he had less rookie autographs, you would think.
Yes, it's a print run on those. That's when it comes down to supply and demand and what's going to work out in the next decade. How much is still out there and how much is, going to be wanted.
His most expensive contenders auto to ever sell, $1,400. And he had no rookie cards because remember, he was undrafted.
That's right. The card ladder's valuing it at what, about $720?
The most expensive Romo card to ever sell
is $3,500.
I mean, that's some bullshit. That doesn't look real.
Yeah, not at all. That's a napkin, or is that a laundry tag or a napkin?
That's a napkin patch.
That's a napkin.
Let's go down to number 2, the game worn NFL Shield.
That's a very good card. That's a nice Romo card.
$2,760 for Tony Romo's probably ever most expensive card ever sell. I'm gonna count this colossal as bullshit.
Yeah, I'll count that as bullshit too. Agreed.
Let's pull Romo stats real quick. Romo, pretty decent
for a very long time too.
Yeah, I mean, once again, third place MVP in 2014, multiple Pro Bowler, didn't play in the first couple years of his career. Romo was pretty solid.
He was. I mean, the Cowboys couldn't win any Super Bowls, but he was a great quarterback. The stats were there for it. He was a great quarterback.
Yeah, Romo's in that in-between era where it's modern NFL, but just a little bit different. And he didn't play. He didn't play enough, but for what it is for 6 years, 8 years, it's pretty impressive. 27 touchdowns, 12 picks. If he played 17 games, 32-14, 4,300 passing yards. Romo could ball.
He could consistently every single year in a row.
So,
but it also comes down to with the card value. I think popularity too. I think the modern day has changed a lot when it comes down to. I guess social media. I don't know how to put it. I guess social media is the way I'd put it. With the we talked about how I'm stuttering. How the others are giving, trying to give like quote unquote advice on who to buy, and it comes down to popularity. He was a well-liked player, but I don't think card-wise he was very popular. He wasn't a very I guess so iconic player. I guess that's a word to use. I mean, he was a great player. I guess he just wasn't iconic.
What's gonna happen to these players, man?
That's the name of the game. Everybody falls off eventually. I mean, I haven't heard Romo's name yet. He's in the booth now. I mean, playing wise, I haven't heard Romo's name in a minute.
Guys, I hope you think critically. You can disagree with me all you want. That's perfectly fine. I implore you to disagree with me on something. All I want to do is give you the right ability to think critically about it, because no one else will tell you that to your face.
Honesty.
Yeah. Listen, I want to make money anyway. I don't really care. I will tell you what not to do, but I'm going to be successful anyway in the industry. I'm giving you the ability to do it for yourself as well. If you think critically, that means you're not going to follow everything I say exactly anyway. You know what? That's good. You're already ahead of the game. So, yeah. Dan, anything else you want to add in closing here?
That's about it. I really appreciate you having me on, man.
Dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time as well. This is a very valuable conversation in general. I would recommend you to take one or two things away from this regardless. You don't have to agree with everything I say to you, but audience member Dan as well, just think about it a little bit differently. You might be better off. And once again, I even said it out loud multiple times. You can still buy these players. Just fucking don't go for them in the season. Why do you not get it?
Quick nickel rather than a slow dime. That's what I leave everybody with. Get off it, get it in, and get it out.
Yep. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Next week, we'll talk about Dallas. Tune in then. Bye.
Thank you very much.